What's up, my peoples? Welcome back to Criminal Minded Reaction. It's your boy PTJ coming at y'all with another video. Alright, y'all, man. The title of this video is Chicago's Most Dangerous Neighborhood. This is from Trap More Ross Clips. Well, this Trap More Ross. I forgot, he got like 3 YouTube channels, so I be messing them up. So Trap More Ross, he always talk about Chicago, so this ain't nothing new, man. We gonna get straight to this video and see what he talking about, man. Hey, real quick though, gotta ask y'all, man, hit that like and subscribe to your boy, man. It costs y'all nothing, and it helps me and my family out so much, man. Get me in this algorithm, get me messing around, man. Let's go get to this video though. Let's roll.
Warning, the purpose of this video is for educational, informational, and documentary purposes only, and it's not intending to glorify, incite, or encourage illegal behavior in any way. Everything in this video has been taken from publicly available sources, and any footage used is covered under the doctrine of fair use. We have made every effort to ensure the accuracy of our sources, but I'm not responsible for content third parties publish. All of the opinions in this video are mine alone. This video contains themes of violence, death, explicit language, and gang activity, and every effort has been made to censor this video in accordance with YouTube's advertiser and community guidelines. However, if you want to see my videos with everything I can't show you on YouTube, please visit patreon.com/traplawross, where you can watch uncut versions of my videos for just $2 a month. But if you're not interested in that, just hit the subscribe button and get ready to hear one of the craziest stories ever told. Ever since Chicago drill music emerged as the voice of the streets in one of the most dangerous cities in America, there has been a never-ending debate over exactly which part of Chicago is the most notorious for its violence. Whether the infamous Parkway Gardens, famously dubbed O-Block in countless drill songs by rappers hailing from the notorious housing complex, or the dangerous streets of 79th and Essex that rappers G Herbo and Lil Bibby once called home and risked their lives defending. Or, most recently, there's Chicago's Low End, where Tay Savage went to war following the death of his best friend that saw the area renamed Welch World. There's been a lot of contenders for Chicago's most notorious hood. However, according to one of the most famous publications in the city, there might finally be a definitive answer, because Chicago newspaper The Sun-Times released an article in 2023 covering what they believed to be the city's most violent neighborhood, an area known as West Garfield Park.
Breaking overnight, Chicago police are looking for the person who opened fire in a shooting that left a woman dead.
And new this morning, an 86-year-old woman is shot while watering her grass.
3 Chicago police officers and a federal marshal shooting and killing a man.
1 woman was killed and 4 others were hurt in a shooting early this morning.
The family left heartbroken this morning when a 10-year-old boy is shot in front of his twin sister.
This happened in Garfield Park.
The boy was found in West Garfield Park.
5 people were shot
in the West Garfield Park neighborhood.
The Sun-Times article begins with the stern statement that no city in America sees more shootings than Chicago, and nowhere in the city is gun violence more intense than in West Garfield Park. When assessing the history of the area, we can see that gun violence and murder is nothing new to West Garfield Park. Famous Chicago legend Twista actually mentioned the area in the skit for his classic song Mobster's Anthem. The skit, which features the police interviewing a suspect and saying, "You know you was on Adams and Keeler on January the 17th when you committed that murder." This song was released in 1997 and shows the West Garfield Park area has been notorious in Chicago for its violent crime for decades. As a point of reference, West Garfield Park is an estimated 25-minute drive from the most popular Chiracologists' point of reference, Parkway Gardens, aka O-Block. But perhaps as a surprise to many drill fans, the area is located on Chicago's west side rather than its infamous south side. South side Chicago has historically...
Yeah, I ain't think he was gonna go there. I didn't think he was gonna say some out area out west. Oh boy. Oh boy. Here we go with this. Let's see what else he got to say, man.
Noted as the city's most dangerous/deadly part of the city, and it's often the area believed to have spawned the notorious nickname for the city, Chirac. However, when you take a closer look at West Garfield Park's crime statistics, it paints a shocking reality. West Garfield Park already had the highest homicide rate and the lowest life expectancy 10 years ago in 2014. The Sun-Times article actually shows that there have been over 1,000 recorded shootings in this small 1-mile radius within the last 5 years. That's a shooting every other day for 5 years straight. It's insane. One Reddit user actually shared how they believe the west side of Chicago is actually the most objectively dangerous when all factors are considered. Yeah, I feel the west side is the roughest part of the city. Before the south side got a trauma center at University of Chicago, the west side technically had less murders, because they have 2 close hospitals to treat gunshot wounds, and it's smaller, so the south side generally gets more attention. Also, dudes out west don't rap as much, and even if they do, you won't hear specific names or events like they do on the south side. The Illinois Policy Institute actually released an article in 2023 detailing just how dangerous the west side is, essentially putting it on par with the south side, complete with a chilling map that showed you exactly where you were most likely to get shot in Chicago. The west side and the south side, of course, battling it out for dominance. West Garfield Park itself is apparently a large contributor as to why the west side's reputation for danger is worsening, and the demographics of those being killed is upsetting, if not surprising, with it reportedly being a narrow swathe of the neighborhood population disproportionately becoming victims of murder in the community, with 2/3 of them being under 30, 85% of the victims being male, and a whopping 94% of those 1,500 murder victims in the last 2 decades being black. The neighborhood itself is reported to have had the highest murder rate in Chicago. In 2014, the murder rate occurred a whopping 116 times per 100,000 people. That means statistically, for every 862 people...
That's the only thing that be getting me. Will you be having far off statistics? Okay, that was 2014. Don't get me wrong, it doesn't excuse this stuff, but you literally just used this 2024. This video, right now recording this video, I'm in October. This video was 8 months ago. That's still within this year. This is the 10th month, so this video was made in February. 2024, you give me a statistic off of 10 years ago? Just stuff like that, you gotta listen to that stuff. You have to listen. But let's keep on rolling, man.
Living there, one of them is getting murdered every year. Another shocking example can be seen between May the 21st and 22nd, 2021. The legal help firm Facebook page actually posted 5 separate incidents that resulted in murder from this just 2-day span. And Redditors would even share how West Garfield Park had higher reported gun violence within that selected 72-hour period than other entire cities in the USA, including those cities that are notoriously dangerous for their gun and gang violence, suggesting that in that 72-hour period, West Garfield Park was more deadly than the entirety of St. Louis, New Orleans, Baltimore, or Detroit. And funnily enough, it's just a short drive from the most luxury shopping districts. West Garfield Park is only 10 minutes away from Chicago's downtown. However, being so close to the luxurious downtown doesn't reflect West Garfield Park's environment, because many buildings and businesses can be seen boarded up and covered in graffiti or subject to vandalism. Perhaps an example of broken window theory, which suggests the rundown state of an area itself can actually encourage yet more criminal behavior there. It's clear to see that the poverty and lack of opportunity has hit this area hard, and it's largely a factor as to why it's been deemed specifically Chicago's most violent neighborhood, with one outreach and intervention manager at the Institute of Nonviolence in Chicago claiming that for young people living there, it's an isolated life where they simply cannot go certain places without risking death. And as a result, many of these youngsters never get to experience life beyond their block, with some youngsters there apparently never having even been to the beach or the movies in their entire life. Interestingly, despite the rundown nature of the area, there's still an active property market, with realtors having to get extremely creative with their language in an effort to try and sell properties there. When visiting Dream Real Estate's website, their listings for West Garfield Park are described with a vivid air of self-denial, with the site itself reading,
I know a lot of people that haven't been downtown and mess my head up too. It's like, they just choose. Ignorance is bliss, and people just like to be comfortable in their own look. So that ain't new. That ain't too surprising to hear that, man. Garfield can get rowdy. Yeah, that's out west for you.
Coming West Garfield Park is still an affordable option for first-time homebuyers, young working singles, and families alike. Gradual modernization of housing is slowly giving this classic neighborhood a contemporary facelift, although the majority of the properties here are of the vintage persuasion rather than new design. Now, the lack of a slideshow displaying properties in West Garfield Park speaks volumes. The website shows just 2 stock images of the area, one of which being a sign outside of a park and another being the local corner store. It doesn't really sell these vintage properties that were promised in the description. In fact, despite the problems in the area, there's still a thriving property market with a large range of properties for sale in a varied price range. Realtor listings in the area range from as low as $6,000 for a vacant lot to one of the cheapest existing properties in the area being only $55,000 for a boarded up house with just 3 bedrooms, all the way up to the most expensive property for sale in West Garfield Park. For $600,000, you could buy a full apartment block with space for 14 occupants. Hell, maybe I would invest in the area if I didn't have to dodge bullets on the way to the viewing. But if you were thinking of snapping up a bargain property in West Garfield Park, you might want to do your research before visiting. When searching for Garfield Park on Reddit's premier Chicago drill and gang community Chiracology, the first 2 results are shocking murder videos from the area. The first being a fight that quickly turned into a retaliation shooting in a matter of seconds, showing just how deadly and volatile the area is. Commenters on Reddit would share detailed posts of the litany of gang sets that control the borders in this area, and explaining how there's a distinction between each side of Garfield Park, labeling the west side as more dangerous than the east side, which apparently still sees a lot of action, while others cynically argue that the east and west side of Garfield Park are still competitive in terms of killings and shootings. Users of the subreddit would even make a virtual walkthrough of the area on Google Maps, pointing out that even on Google Street View, a man can be seen clutching a pistol in his right hand. Now, the problems with West Garfield Park unfortunately get much deeper than the insights gleaned from Google Maps or local real estate listings. The West Garfield Park neighborhood is at the heart of the area where such drug dealing takes place, and there are news articles all the way back from the 90s up to the present day talking about these markets and the residents' desperate attempts to shut them down. The drug dealers have even allegedly shut down streetlights there to better enable the drug dealing trade and other crime that takes place there at night.
People living on a west side block say they haven't had streetlights in nearly 2 months, and it's already contributed to crime.
A block blackout going on 2 months.
No one seems to care because so much violence is going on, but we care.
Oh, by the way, the reason you can see me right now is because of our camera lights.
Unfortunately, the narcotics problem in Chicago's west side goes much deeper than mere street pushers. The drugs are allegedly brought into Chicago by the Mexican cartels, with detailed articles circulating.
West is known for their drugs. That's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. We all know. Anybody you talk to for the city say, hey, west side got it for that for some reason. You know. It is what it is with that one, boy. And I just know a lot of people used to come out south to come and get west side drugs. You know, it's crazy.
Describing infamous dope baron El Chapo as having poisoned the streets of Chicago. But the Mexican cartel's role is a relatively new phenomenon, and the problem here has existed under the control of many criminal organizations for close to 100 years in Chicago. This includes the so-called Chicago Outfit, Italian-American mafia that's operated in Chicago for damn near a century, made infamous by the likes of Al Capone. But today, the street-level dealing is often handled by the West Side's modern-day street gangs, and the fight over the control of these drug markets is perhaps the most important contributor to violence in the area, with the Chicago Sun-Times reporting that in fact the maps of drug ODs appear to correlate directly to maps of shootings in these areas. So let's take a closer look at some of these street gangs causing chaos in Chicago's most dangerous neighborhood.
Here we go. Here we go.
Gangs that have been operating in the neighborhood of West Garfield Park for decades includes the Vice Lords, particularly the conservative Vice Lords, as well as other crews called the Black Souls and the Four Corner Hustlers, who are all gangs that operate particularly on the west side of Chicago. However, there are also some sets that rep gangs who are historically more dominant on the south side, such as the Gangster Disciples. When assessing the Chicago gang map from Reddit, we can actually see that various sets have had their territory mapped around this area. For example, let's begin with B-Gang, aka K-Unit. This is a set located at the top of West Garfield Park. B-Gang is known to mainly beef a crew called MNA from the nearby Austin neighborhood. This gang has actually been associated with a local rapper by the name of Chief Mufasa, who actually has built up a pretty large audience on YouTube, with 3 of his songs amassing over or around 100,000 views. And he's certainly talented on the microphone with his auto-tuned melodic flow over modern-day Chicago drill beats.
It's a pool full of lean, let's dive heaven and drink it all up. Codeine, prescription pills, we all fall a drug.
Definitely hitting the spot if you're into this kind of music. But when it comes to his music videos, he really does not seem bothered about broadcasting any criminal activities. In fact, he even uploaded a YouTube short to his official YouTube channel showing a cache of weapons, suggesting that these particular pistols were actually fitted with switches. Meanwhile, on his song Lawyer Fees, the music video features the convenience store in West Garfield Park where a gang-related triple murder occurred just a month after filming. This incident itself could even be seen in a popular clip that circulated around the Chiracology subreddit in 2019. Allegedly, the victims of the shooting were members of the B Gang and the suspects were from the MNA. The feud between the B Gang and MNA is actually referenced in lyrics on the song Lawyer Fees, as Chief Mufasa begins the track shouting out the B Gang.
Fuck a MNA, them niggas ain't on anything.
Allegedly, a switch was even used in the firing pistol, causing such a rapid burst of bullets that the police actually ran out of evidence markers to place on the shell casings when they were combing the scene. A Chicago Sun-Times article would even show a picture of the location with over 40 evidence markers littered outside of the store. Witnesses would be interviewed and they would seem to suggest that this serious level of violence is nothing new to West Garfield Park residents, with two people opening up to the news about how they aim to relocate and get out of the area as soon as they could. However, unfortunately, this is only one of many gangs who would appear to operate in this area. Another gang in the area is known as the Black Souls. They were hit by a RICO case for an apparent $11 million dope dealing operation and an apparent link to 7 murders. The fact that such a small gang was running a drug empire worth over $10 million in this area shows the enormous local demand for this kind of drug, with it also being reported that it was just one informant that took down the entire crew after being paid $100,000 by the authorities for their assistance.
A guilty verdict came down late today after a 2-month trial, and 100 witnesses came forward to testify.
The Black Souls gang leader, along with 5 other managers, the leaders of a gang that wreaked havoc and terror in Chicago's West Garfield Park neighborhood,
including committing an execution-style murder in broad daylight of a neighborhood man who was brave enough to report them.
The Black Souls protected their territory by murdering, kidnapping, beating, and intimidating witnesses. Fox says they controlled heroin and cocaine sales for 15 years.
Another prevalent gang in the area is the gangster disciples set Fro Gang, aka the Monroe Millionaires. One Reddit user shared that Fro Gang may have actually had the hottest block in the area, with allegedly over 17 shootings taking place there in 2016 alone. This group apparently named Fro Gang after one of their members who was murdered in 2013. This group has since been engaged in an over years-long deadly feud with another group called the TVLs from Cali Mob and the Mafia Insanes from Austin. The West Garfield Park neighborhood is also considered to be the birthplace of the historical West Side gang, the Four Corner Hustlers, who actually began operating in the area all the way back in the 1960s and were known for wearing the colors black and brown. Whilst the gang begun as a movement to protect the neighborhood from bad influences such as drugs, things would eventually take a 180 turn after the original leadership of the gang got imprisoned and the gang eventually ended up heavily involved in the drug dealing scene themselves. During the height of the Chicago drill era, one of the genre's biggest stars ever, Chief Keef, actually would become affiliated with a Four Corner Hustler member called Main Main, with some people suggesting he was in fact Chief Keef's actual cousin. They would begin calling Main Main's Four Corner Hustler set from the West Garfield Park neighborhood 4CGC, meaning Four Corner Glow Gang, a reference to Chief Keef's crew and or label. Main Main himself was beginning to make a name for himself in the rap game during the mid-2010s, typically repping the Four Corner Glow Gang set and West Garfield Park in his music and videos. Interestingly, Main Main would even end up doing a bizarre collaboration with the underground rap legend Young Lean and his Sad Boy clique in 2016. Unfortunately, the following year in 2017, Main Main and numerous other Four Corner Hustlers members were ultimately arrested in a major gang bust, and Main Main was eventually sentenced to 10 years for his role in the gang's violent operations, apparently running their drug market.
I bet,
The following year in 2017, Main Main and numerous other Four Corner Hustlers members were ultimately arrested in a major gang bust, and Main Main was eventually
2019, okay. As I say, some of this stuff, my bad, y'all. I just wanted to see, like, a lot of this stuff is stringed together. I was gonna say that to the end, but all this stuff didn't happen in 1 year. He's stringing together a bunch of stuff like that. Like a lot of this stuff I've heard a lot of it, but it's been chopped up like crazy. But let me go ahead and let y'all finish this though, man.
sentenced to 10 years for his role in the gang's violent operations, apparently running their drug markets in West Garfield Park, including an incident where a shootout almost killed an innocent 15-year-old girl. But in a surprising twist, it would seem that Main Main actually ended up serving at least part of his sentence with the rapper Fetty Wap, who is also incarcerated on drug-related charges. Meanwhile, the other 4 Corner Glow Gang members have seemingly continued to showcase large amounts of guns and drugs in their music videos, where they can typically be seen hanging around in the West Garfield Park neighborhood. However, it seems that Main Main himself may actually get another chance at building a rap career due to some legal victories that have seemingly shortened his sentence, with him hopping on social media recently shouting out his lawyer for helping him win an appeal, and he is now reportedly set to be released in early 2024. Don't get it twisted. The purpose of this video is not to glamorize the life of gangs terrorizing the West Garfield Park neighborhood. The original Chicago Sun-Times article I read about the area included some harrowing accounts from residents still living there. Mothers explaining how they have to lie to their children about gunshots in the area, frequently telling their kids that they're only firecrackers in a desperate attempt to preserve their children's innocence, as well as heartbreaking accounts of numerous young black men living with the trauma of surviving being shot as young as 11. The fight for things to improve in this area still continues today, but sadly it seems that year on year, despite local residents' resolve to make a change, things just don't seem to improve. All the way back in 2014, a report by Red Eye Chicago would interview residents of the area on the problems in their communities.
Well, being in this community, as you know, it's a poor community, but the people in the community attempt to help each other as best they can with the limited resources that they have. You tell kids, don't be out here on the corners and stuff, but we have nothing to replace it with. It seems to be basically economic.
That's true.
It's getting worse, actually. They shooting and the police haven't found the people that's shooting or anything, so they're still out here with guns. And who knows, they might come shoot right now, who knows.
Years later, it would seem that the problem had only gotten worse. A CBS Chicago report from 2020 would look at how local businesses were still on edge, with continually rising crime and open-air dope markets continuing to operate in the West Garfield Park area.
Deals done right at the car window, money exchanging hands over and over in West Garfield Park.
They're not afraid of the police, you know.
And they weren't afraid of our cameras this afternoon.
Pull up there now in your car, somebody will probably be trying to hand you some drugs.
And while cash is flowing for this product,
the businesses are really starting to be more and more afraid.
Following an arrest in connection with the shooting of a child at the local library in 2023, the community would gather to call for peace as efforts to stop the violence continued.
Just in the last half hour, we've learned a suspect has now been charged in the shooting of a child and a teen in West Garfield Park. Neighbors there are calling for peace, asking for everyone to step up to help create a safe environment for families in the area.
After this, a CBS Chicago report on residents' plight to try and find solutions to gun violence would also be aired.
When James Ruffin grew up in 1960s Chicago, he says libraries were a sanctuary for kids on the West Side. But now it's become the space where a 12-year-old and a 16-year-old were shot inside that same building. The newly elected 11th District Police Council holds its first public meeting. A room filled with neighbors calling for peace. Some say they want to see more police on the street. Others say the responsibility goes beyond the police.
Despite the community's motivation to change, the reality of delivering that in the city's bureaucracy would still be a challenge. It's important to remember that despite the problems in this area, many Good Samaritans are continuing the thankless task of trying to improve things here. Anti-violence groups are trying to fix things like the MAAFA Chicago Redemption Project, and in that original Sun-Times article, there was also representation from people from the Institute of Nonviolent Chicago. This institute, in fact, has one of their offices located in West Garfield Park itself, and this organization began operating in the nearby Austin neighborhood that borders West Garfield Park around 2014, with them eventually beginning operations in West Garfield itself in 2017. With them even partnering with Chicago Cred, who I actually discussed in my earlier video about Lil Durk's father, who has actually shown support to this organization. The collaboration between the Institute and Chicago Cred would see them providing a stipend to so-called peace ambassadors, who would pledge to try and calm things down on these blocks that were most prone to violence. Apparently this program was a significant success, and in the areas that it operated, it was actually accompanied by a 52% reduction in homicides, a 40% reduction in non-fatal shootings, and a 41% reduction in shootings from the same time in 2017. The Institute's work on trying to reduce violence without police has even been picked up by the media, who profile these brave local citizens putting their lives on the line desperately trying to stop the violence.
On this spring day in West Garfield Park, Ashaki Banks remains determined to make a change. She walks and works with the Institute for Nonviolent Chicago.
It's on my chain.
In 2012, Banks' only daughter, Heaven, was murdered while selling candy outside the family's apartment in Austin. The 7-year-old caught in gang crossfire. All these years later, Banks and the workers at the Institute are still fighting to curb violence.
The positive steps being made by the West Garfield community is ongoing, and it's been covered extensively by the local media, but unfortunately doesn't get nearly as many clicks as it really deserves. West Garfield Park community leaders are continuing their work to try and heal the deep wounds in their community.
For the people of West Garfield Park, the violence is searing. Walter Jones is right in the middle of it,
walking for love,
providing counseling for young people, teaching them goal setting, and showing them life outside the neighborhood.
Those who have been, basically violated end up violating. So you cannot blame a child for the life circumstance that they're born into.
I truly pray that they get some success. I hope you found that story interesting. I truly hope that the violence gets better. And until next time, I've been Traplaw Ross. Peace.
Well, that was a deep one. That's definitely deep. You could drop a pin in any other hood or any other low poverty area, and it's going to be violence, and it's going to be things that are, that's a recurring thing everywhere. Sometimes these videos do have a habit of stretching things out, make things seem like it's every day. Like a large amount of his research was from 10 years ago. There was some recent events, don't get me wrong, but that event with Shockey, I kind of knew stuff about both sides of that. It's just, not to be down or numb, it comes with territory. But of course, I push positive, I push non-violence. This is what I be wearing. You don't see in my video. This is Live. This is a non-violent movement. Trying to push things just to get us better, man, overall. But I mean, it was some points in that video, don't get me wrong, where a lot of the stuff was put together, like it's like some of the stuff made it seem like it all happened in 1 year. Don't get me wrong, it doesn't diminish it, but you could do, it's stuff happened everywhere, man. But we gonna pray, pray for a better world, pray for stuff to get better, man, and us to take that hate and that anger out of our hearts that makes us want to kill each other. We need them prayers, man. But hey, I made this final video, man. Touched the bottom of my heart, man. Especially this video is very close to home. Literally, it's close to home. It's West Side Chicago. That's exactly where I'm from. I know a lot of these stories, a lot of these stories, a lot of stuff that happened. That's what when he was telling it was like, I just heard this, but this was years ago. But it doesn't change the fact that it did happen, man. But if y'all did, man, hit that like and subscribe, man. I appreciate y'all, man. Stay safe out there. Pray for the city. Pray for every low poverty area in the world, really, because you can find crime and violence in every low poverty area. And then white, black, all of that. It just comes with it, man. Pray for the world in all, man. I'm out, show. Peace.